we try to get back what we lost. As soon as we lose something, we just hurry up and want to get it back. Welcome back to God Nod. My name is Casey, and today I'm going to take you through a little workshop if you are in a season of transition. I feel like summertime is often a time for transition, whether it's getting a new job, it's ending and starting the school year, having a kid, whatever it might be. Summer is usually the time of transition, and a lot of times we as humans, we don't know how to transition well. A lot of times we just leave the past in the past, and then we try to hurry up and move on to the future, but that's not super helpful. And so I want to give a few tips in a workshop to help you transition to the new phase of life that you are starting, because change can be hard, especially if it's a big change. And even if it's not a big change, little changes such as a new roommate or moving back into your parents' house, whatever there might be, it has an effect on us. And so kind of praying through some of these questions and thinking through some of these things will be really helpful. So today, I'm going to describe the difference between change and transition, and then I'm going to break down the 3 stages of transition. And then I'm going to give you practical tools and a little workshop to help you live out each stage of the transition so that you can thrive well and you can carry on into your future well. So, a little inspiration here. Joshua 1:9 says, "Have I not commanded you, says the Lord, be strong and of good courage. Be not frightened, neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." So, just a little reminder, the Lord is with you through this whole thing. He's with you, He's guiding you, He's leading you. So, be at peace. He says, do not be afraid. Do not be frightened. Have courage and be strong. You're going to get through this. It's just a season. There might be losses, there might be gains, and it's going to be okay because the Lord is guiding you. The world is thy ship and not thy home. Okay, my number one tip, I'm just going to start off with my number one tip right away, is if I'm moving somewhere or just something is really, really different, there's a big change in my life, the first thing I do is I find the nearest adoration chapel, because Jesus is our number one home. You're gonna find most comfort and most fulfillment with Jesus. And so I just encourage you to find the nearest adoration chapel and look up the hours, look up the time it's open, and go. Just spend as much time as you can there. If you go to adoration and you can get comfortable there, and that can just be your home away from home, you will feel so much more peace, and you'll be able to be okay, this is my safe place. It's a new place, but I know Jesus and He's here. And so you're good. So that's my number one tip. If you ever have to move somewhere, just find Jesus in the tabernacle or the monstrance, wherever He is located nearest to you. Okay, let's get into it. So change versus transition. So change is when change is happening all the time, right? Whether it's in or out of your control. Some things you can control, and some other things you just can't, and they just happen to you, and you just have to face it. Okay, the difference between change and transition is transition is how you respond to the change. So you could be super joyful about it, you could be bitter and angry about it, whatever that might be. That's what transition is. So transition is how you respond to the change. As I said, we often don't transition well because we don't know how to respond to change. We sometimes just try to pretend it didn't happen, or it's really, really tough, and we try to move on. So I'm going to try to teach you how to transition well. So William Bridges, he's a change consultant. He defines transition as, quote, the inner process through which people come to terms with a change as they let go of the way things used to be and reorient themselves to the way that things are now. So, change is what happens to us, and transition is how we respond to those changes. Okay, and then he also breaks down transition in 3 stages. There's the ending of the past life, there's this neutral zone, and then there's the new beginning, the future. So the endings is acknowledging that we are losing something, we're letting go of something, and we need to truly be free and leave it behind. The neutral zone is like in between. It's like maybe the change hasn't happened yet, or maybe a little change has happened yet, but it's not fully starting yet. That's the neutral zone. And that's the hardest part, because you're kind of at a loss of what to do there. And then the new beginnings part, that is when we start to get to live the adventure. We get to live the newness of that season, whatever that may look like. So for this particular video, I'm going to be focusing on the ending stage and the neutral zone, because those are the hardest. Once we get to the new beginnings, it's pretty free and like lively, and it's adventurous because you can just dive in. Again, I already gave one tip for that, is finding the nearest adoration chapel to feel like home, but let's get into it. So the ending stage. Here are just some couple things. If you have time, pause it, like after I say these things, pause and write down some of these things to take with you to pray with or to think about, so that you can really dive into this. Okay. So the first action item for you is to list out all of your desires and options for this upcoming season. What change will you be going through this upcoming month, year, etc.? So write down explicitly all of the changes that are going to be happening, and like all of the ripple effects of those changes. And list out your desires for the upcoming season. So listing out the changes and listing out your desires. Those are the two action items. And then after that, I want you to spend some time to reflect on this past season, whether it is a couple months or whether it is a year, whatever that timeline may be. We're just going to call that a season. So I want you to think about all of the moments of grace of that season, whether it was a good conversation, whether it was a reading that stuck out to you in mass, or a prayer time, something that you saw and you were inspired by, like all of the little good moments, or the ways that the Lord has spoke to you or to your heart. Write all of those graces down. So those are the two biggest action items that I am giving you right now. First, write down the changes that are happening and what you're looking forward to, what desires you have for your next season. And then go through and reflect on this past season. What are the graces? What are the gifts that the Lord has given you in this past season? Okay, now, this ending stage, just a little bit about it. Now that you have an action item to do, if you want to pause, go ahead, pause, write it down. If you want to do it right now, go for it. Or put it in your journal for you to take to prayer another time. But do it. They will be helpful. So the ending is a stage that is easily forgotten, because a lot of times, like I said, we just try to skip ahead to the next thing, which is not always the best thing. So in order to have a good ending, we need to stop daydreaming about the future so much to whereas we skip the grieving part of this last season. We don't want to, if we don't grieve some of the past, if we don't grieve some of the losses that we are not being able to take with us to the next season, we might carry some baggage with us. So we don't want to just leave everything behind. We want to honor the goodness of that last season. We want to honor our dignity and the others around us that we are also leaving in that time. So whether if you are moving to a new place or something like that, or maybe you get married and you know that your friendships are going to start changing or whatnot, say goodbye to your friends if you are moving locations. Have good time with your friends if you're getting married, whatever that might be. Help the people coming in after you, helping those around you going through transition, things like that. So it's important to reflect on the blessings God has given us in this stage of life, but then also to recognize the losses that are happening from moving on. So this is something that we really do not do well, is celebrating the change. So for example, when you think of like a ceremony, it's highly recommended, this change consultant William Bridges, he recommends having some kind of ceremony. Now, when you think ceremony, you might think of a wedding, or you might think of like a graduation or a funeral or some like big event. That's not what he's talking about here. It could be as simple as going out to eat with a friend, or having a little party at your house, or maybe going on a retreat by yourself. Something that is kind of out of the ordinary that you can kind of look back to and be like, that was the ending of that season of life. To just really celebrate that season, and for you to kind of close your mind to that season of life. Like, there's a reason why we have like graduations. There's a reason why we have weddings and funerals. Like, as humans, like, we are body and soul. As like our bodies, our souls, we need closure to things. So those are just a couple examples of how you can celebrate that season of your life. The next biggest step in the ending is recognizing the loss. So every change comes with a loss, whether we think it's a good change or not. And Bill Bridges, the change consultant, he identifies seven different kinds of losses. So if you want to also take some notes on this, maybe as I read through these, you can take notes on what kind of losses are you experiencing through this transition. The first loss is loss of turf. Literally losing ground that I used to occupy. So I feel like that's like if you're moving somewhere. Or maybe a sibling is moving back in with you and now you have to share a room. Like actually losing physical space. That's the loss number one. Loss number two is loss of attachment. Attachment to people. So this is a change in friendships, a change in relationship. So some kind of social dynamic, something is changing. Number three is loss of meaning, feeling a lack of meaning as a result of the change. Number four, loss of control, no longer being in charge of things in the same way. So maybe you used to live by yourself, but now you're moving into a place with roommates, and now you no longer have full control over your living space. Or maybe you're moving back within your parents when you're going in and out of college. You're losing that full control that you used to have over your space. Number five is loss of future. Things aren't panning out how I thought they would. So things just don't go as planned. Loss of identity is number six. Who I am now. So this feeling of like losing your identity. Maybe because it's like such a big change in your life that your identity seems to be kind of disturbed. And then the last one is loss of structure. How do I order my life now that things are so different? So there's a lack of structure, there's a lack of routine, things like that. So those are the 7 losses that Bill Bridges identifies. So go ahead, pause, write down all of the losses that you are going through right now. Make a list of them all. And then you can kind of pinpoint of these 7, like where do these all kind of fall, and like where are the main things falling. Now, he also points out 4 possible responses to loss. So this is really interesting because we can all respond to a loss in a different way, but he gives us 4 different ways, and none of these are like bad or good per se. They're all kind of neutral, and all of them have a different time and place for them. But the first response to a loss is restore. We try to get back what we lost. As soon as we lose something, we just hurry up and want to get it back. We have this idea that like nothing has to change. I can fix it. I can return to it. But that's often not the case when there's a change or transition happening. Sometimes it can happen. For example, if you move to a new location and you're leaving all of your best friends behind, you can continue, you could try to like grasp those old friendships, but eventually like you have to make friends where you're at, where you're physically at, or you just will be lonely, because we are made for community, and our community can't just be on the phone or FaceTime the whole time. Like, we have to have community around us physically. So that's just one example of how we can try to like restore something really, really quickly. The second one is replace. We simply replace what we lost with something or someone new. So for example, I'm losing people in my life, but that's okay. I will make new friends. So this is kind of a healthier version of what I just said, of that example. You move to a new place and you're like, okay, I recognize my friendships are going to change that I used to have, and now I need to go out in the community and I need to make new friends. Like, that's a good thing to do. But it's, important, like, to know that we won't be able to actually replace all of those friends because each person is unique and a gift. So that's the second possible response. The third possible response is redesign. So we neither restore or we replace. It's just, I don't have to lose everything. It will just look different. So just accepting that things will be different. Didn't lose anything, didn't gain anything. It's just different. It's just kind of this, like, I'm going to redesign kind of thing. And then the fourth one is relinquish. This is letting go. You're just, like, completely letting go, as in, like, that season of life was great, but I am so ready to move on. I feel like this happens a lot when you're a senior in college and you're like, college was great, but I'm ready to be an adult now. I'm ready to move on. So that's relinquish. So again, as I said, there's no one response that's best. You get to decide how you respond to these losses. But I hope kind of pulling those out will help you recognize that these are 4 possible responses you could have to a transition or to a change. So now, what do we do now? A couple more action points. So one is to think about, what of these 4 possible responses, which one are you tending to right now? What's your mindset right now? And maybe what response do you hope to have? That's number 1. Number 2, with the changes that you anticipate going through this upcoming year, what is your initial response for each change? So that list of changes you just wrote out, go through each of those changes and think about what response is your immediate response. And again, what response do you want to have to it? And then write down the change, and next to the change, I just said that, sorry. The next thing is why. Is this the best for that change? So this is where it comes into reflecting, like, okay, this is my initial response to the change. What is the best response to this change, this particular change? And you might have you might have 20 different little changes that are going on, but this will help you identify the best way to move on, and to accept the transition that's happening. Okay, that is the ending phase. Now, the ending stage. Now let's go ahead and go on to the neutral zone. So, as said, this can be the hardest stage because you're just like, I don't know what to do. So, it's kind of like the in-between stage of where you were and where you're going, and you're just kind of stuck in the middle, and there's not much you can do right now, but you like want to do things, but you can't really. That's why it's hard, especially for us like busybodies who want to be productive with your time and whatnot. So, but remember, we are pilgrims on a journey. It's a journey. We'll get there eventually. It's just a phase. So, the purpose of this is we can easily forget the little annoying things in the previous stage and long to go back, thinking everything was perfect there. If you think about this, like, sometimes, when you move to a new place or whatever, and you're like, oh, my roommate suddenly isn't annoying anymore, or, that restaurant that we'd always go to, it suddenly isn't bland anymore. Like, you start to forget the things that you didn't like in that last season to kind of cope with where you're at now, and you start longing for that past life because that's what was comfortable, that's what you knew. And this reminds me of the Israelites when they are, in the Testament, when they're our Lord saved them from the Egyptians and crushed them and saved them from being slaves, and now they're in the wilderness for 40 years, and now the Israelites are complaining because they don't have all the comforts they used to have, but like they're not slaves anymore, so like they should be grateful. But like it got to the point where they started craving their old past, their old life, even though the old life was horrible. They started to forget how horrible their old life was because of what they were dealing with now. And this happens to us quite often. So it's important to remember this as we are in this neutral zone, that okay, if we start to miss and crave that old life, think about how life really was there. There's pros and cons to every season. And we need to trust that the Lord is leading us, that He has good things in store for us in the next chapter. And when this starts to happen, and when we start longing for the past, we need to remember, what was our purpose for leaving in the first place? What is the purpose here? Look at all of the reasons, list them out, and hang them somewhere. And you can even go through and write down the consolations that you received from God that confirmed or affirmed that decision to change that thing, whether it's moving or a new job or whatever it is. Write them down and put them on your bathroom mirror, so you're constantly reminded, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be here, God's calling me here, this is the right thing, this is the good thing, so that we're not constantly wishing for the past. And if we didn't choose this change, if it's something that happened to us and we're struggling with it, go ahead and ask God, God, please reveal why you are allowing this. Please reveal why this is happening, kind of thing. And then listen to him, dive into scripture, listen to his voice, and see what he comes up with, and then write that down. However, one caveat is, it is possible that you discerned badly. What if you did make the wrong choice? It's possible that you made the wrong choice. If that is the case, talk to a spiritual director, talk to a mentor, talk to a good friend that's wise to kind of really talk you through this process to make sure, because it is possible that you just simply discerned badly, and you should go back to the previous season, whatever that might look like. But very rarely is that the case. So pray, talk to wise people. Okay. Another tip for the neutral zone is picture. We need a picture of our destination to help inspire us. So whether that means an actual physical picture that you can take of the new place or the new season or whatever, and you can hang it up, or just put it as the background of your phone to kind of inspire you of where you're going, great. Or maybe it's just imagining what your next chapter of life will look like, and just kind of having that in the back of your mind. The next action point is to plan. You want to break your goals into chunks so it's not super overwhelming, and don't commit to everything at once. Slow down and slowly get to what you need to do in order to have a good transition. So think about, okay, what do I need accomplished in this next month? What do I need accomplished in these next 3 months? What about in these next 6 months? Break it down into small bite-sized chunks so that you can actually do each one well. And then maybe set aside a time monthly to kind of check in on your progress to see where you're at. Okay. The next point is people. So who are the people in your life who will help you through this neutral zone? So think about maybe your parents, your siblings, your best friends. Who are the people that you can talk to about some of the things, the changes, the transition that's happening? So brainstorm a list of people that looks something like this. So 1, here's an action item for you. 1, a person I will share my action plan with is who? 2, a person I will share all my thoughts to is who? A person who will get me plugged into the Catholic community. A person who will help me carry out my lifelong mission. Other people who will be vital to help me through this next stage. So, those are all of the tips and little nuggets that I have, and the fullness of the workshop that I have for you to help you get through the ending stage and the neutral zone. And now, once you get through all of that, once you've prayed through and reflected on all of that, you get to peacefully enter into the new beginning stage and just live the adventure that the good Lord has brought you to. So I hope that has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on this whole transition workshop. May God bless you and know of my prayers.